The Droid X is a standalone, all-in-one computer system which is constantly running several resources in the background, both hardware and software. This includes Global Positioning System, or GPS, a Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, multiple email accounts, your calendar, your address book, and animated wallpaper, to name just a few. And if you're constantly running all your systems at once, then you will very soon have a dead battery in just a few short hours. That's the bad news. The good news is we're about to show you several ways that you can extend your battery's life by shutting down some of those unnecessary background systems. Okay, let's go to a blank page here. Isn't that pretty? That's live wallpaper. The background wallpaper, it's moving. It looks like the ocean. It's real pretty. But live wallpaper uses a lot of battery power. A good rule of thumb, if it moves, kill it. So the first thing we're going to do is change the wallpaper. So let's press and hold on the screen. That's called a long press. And go down to wallpapers. At this point, the only thing you need to remember is choose anything but live wallpaper. Live wallpaper that means that it moves, and if it moves, it's using extra battery power, so we don't want to do that. What we want instead is a non-moving image in the background. So on my phone, it's called Media Gallery, but I've seen other Droid phones that call it Pictures Gallery or just simply Pictures. In this case, I'm going to go to my Media Gallery, which is where all my pictures are kept. I've got Camera Roll, Folders, and All Photos. I'm going to go with All Photos. And then I'm going to scroll down. There it is. There's the All-Terrain Armored Transport, the Imperial Walker from The Empire Strikes Back. When you choose an image for your background, you're able to crop that image using this square here. You can as large or as small as you want. Back and forth. And then you drop to the lower left and click Save. And now we have a non-moving background, which saves battery power. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is install the Power Control widget. So we press and hold. We go to Widgets. And then we scroll down to Power Control. Okay, going from left to right, the first thing we have here is your Wi-Fi. That, of course, is for if you're surfing the internet at a Starbucks or some other coffee bar, or if you have a wireless router at your house. Wi-Fi, that works very well. Of course, if you are not at that moment surfing the internet, then you don't need it. You can turn that off, save some battery power. Next, we have Bluetooth for the Bluetooth earpiece or Bluetooth headphones or any Bluetooth device. If you're using that, you can turn that on. However, it uses battery power, so if you're not using a Bluetooth device, you can save some battery power and turn that off. Next in line, we have GPS, Global Positioning System. I love GPS. And if you're going to use GPS, it is much better if you turn on your Wi-Fi also. Not real sure why that is, it just is. You get a lot more accuracy and you get a lot more information, and it works better. So if you're going to turn on your GPS, you really ought to turn on your Wi-Fi also. Of course, if you're indoors and you know where you are and you don't need your GPS, then go ahead and turn that off, save some battery power. Next in line we have Auto Sync, automatically synchronize. And this regards anything that goes online and updates or refreshes every so often. For example, your email, your Facebook, weather, news, Twitter, of course. Twitter's, up to the minute kind of stuff. And your auto sync button goes through all of those guys and refreshes everything right then and there. And if you leave it on, it will, throughout the day, periodically refresh those things like every half hour or every 15 minutes or every hour. That's a lot of battery power. I recommend turn that off, and then if you want to check your email, hit the refresh key. Remember, all those features have their own refresh key, and that does the same thing. The one and only scenario where the auto sync is really, really useful is if you're riding a subway or if you're going to be in an area where there is no cell service for a while. You hit that button just before you go downstairs, and that updates everything on your phone. Then you go downstairs, you're out of reach of the internet service, but you've got everything updated on your phone. So that's a good use for the auto sync button. Otherwise, I strongly recommend you turn that off and just hit your refresh button whenever you go to anything, like your email, Facebook, Twitter, sports, weather, anything that needs to be updated and current. Just hit your refresh button. The screen display uses more battery power than any other resource on your phone. Last icon on the right here is your brightness control toggle. That toggles you through 4 settings: low level, medium brightness, full brightness, or auto brightness. My recommendation is, as much as you can, keep your brightness set down to low brightness. While you're indoors, or if it is nighttime, you should be able to get by fine with low level brightness, and that'll save you a lot of battery power. The only time your display brightness needs to be set to 100% is when you're outside during daylight hours. And as you can see, while the brightness is turned down, the phone works just fine. You can see everything very clearly. Just keep the brightness down as low as you comfortably can. The lower the brightness, the more battery power you save. So that gives you a good idea of ways to turn things off. The power control widget does a good job, but that's only 5 things. And there are other free apps out there that have more stuff. For example, this is a freebie called Quick Settings, and it's available free on the Android market. Going from top to bottom, right now I'm showing I have 60% of my battery. And let's take a look at that. If we click on it, we get a rundown of who's using the most battery power. And like we said earlier, their number 1, top of the list there is display. And that uses 46% of the total load. 46% is going to your display. And I had the Seagull's view. That's what you saw at the beginning of this video, Seagull's view wallpaper. And those are all at the top of the list because they take up so much battery power. So that's another good feature of Quick Settings, is it gives you a rundown of exactly where all your battery power is going. Bluetooth, again, off or on, Bluetooth. Auto sync, off or on. Again, I recommend you leave auto sync off unless you're riding a subway. Wi-Fi, also on or off, whichever you need. Right now I'm not on the internet, so mobile data. The Droid is extremely eager to go online all the time. So if you turn off your Wi-Fi, it's going to switch over to your, in my case, the 3G network. And finally, down at the bottom, we have the GPS receiver. Right now I have that turned off. I'm indoors, I know where I am, and that just drains the battery. So if I don't need it, I go ahead and turn that off. Notice I'm not saying I never use it. I'm just saying if I don't need it, I turn it off. Okay, so now we go back to the home page. Another thing I like about the power control widget, like most widgets, by definition, you can see things at a glance. You can just look at it and see what's on and what's off. Very often, if I'm going out hiking or if I'm going out just for a walk around the city, that's how my phone will look, because I like my wife to be able to see where I am on the map. And I don't need my Bluetooth. I don't have a Bluetooth earpiece. Auto sync, I always have that off. Oh, by the way, if I'm going outside during daylight hours, I would turn my brightness up to 100%. And then I would go out. However, if it is nighttime, then I would turn my brightness down to low level. Now let's take another look at brightness. The power control widget is a good little feature, but it's not the only feature. And I have a brightness app that I prefer. It's free, available on the Android market. And that's it right there. Let's zoom in so you can see it a little better. Notice the very bottom of the window, close on select. No matter what button you push, it'll get out of your way so you can get on to whatever it is you're trying to do. For example, 25% brightness, You know, it's nice that the thing just gets out of your way. Or you can slide the slider up and down, and as soon as and in the upper right corner you can see what the brightness is. You know, 20%, 23%. I like to slide it down to like between 0 and 5%. If I'm indoors, any brighter than 5% is just a waste of battery power. A couple more comments. You can enjoy MP3 music just so long as you don't keep changing the volume, fast forwarding, rewinding, doing all that stuff. I've found if I just turn on my MP3 player and leave it alone, I don't lose all that much battery power. It's a pleasant surprise. The same is true for GPS. Yes, it does use battery power. However, I have found in my own experience that if I just turn it on and don't mess with it, don't turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn on my GPS and my Wi-Fi, yes, it does use battery power, but not at that alarming of a rate. Speaking of your MP3 player, a lot of people don't know this, but if you use headphones, headphones use a lot less power than the speakers on the back of your phone there. So feel free to use your MP3 and your GPS. Make sure that you turn your brightness down to low if you're indoors or if it is at nighttime. That's very often how I have it if I'm at home. I'll have my Wi-Fi on. It doesn't use that much battery power, and if I'm home, very often this Droid X is in the charger anyway. By the way, a couple of interesting little things about the Wi-Fi. I recently had a really good education when Verizon Wireless accidentally shut off my service. They thought I didn't pay my bill. I had payment anyway. They shut off my service, and I was at a coffee bar, and it was the first time I had ever surfed the internet without the 3G network, relying only on the Wi-Fi. It worked like a charm. It was just fine. A little independence from Verizon. But it was cool because I was able to still get online even though Verizon had cut off my service. Droid X is a very good phone, as are all the other Droid phones I've seen. Just got to keep an eye on that battery power. Reporting for Newberry Media, I'm Brian Newberry, and thanks for joining us.